Welcome. We'll give it a minute or two here as we finishing up with a coach training. And now we are jumping into chapter 1.2 of the Habits of Health book. Today you have a male leading. I know it's always either my wife or Erica or Misty. So we thought we'd shake it up a little bit and add an old bald guy on here to talk about it.
Hey, I'm an old bald guy too.
I know, that's why you're here.
Guys, tell the men in your life about this program, because I'll just put that out there right now. Like, if you've ever thought this was mainly women, there's a lot of males on the program and a lot of male coaches out there. So, spread the word. This program changed my life in a major way. So I'm glad no one ever thought, well, he's a guy, so he won't be interested in that.
This is true. Actually, my wife would not have done program had I not done it myself. So absolutely.
Richard's still got a little bit of hair.
Yeah, it's going. You look great, buddy. You look great. Hold on to that as long as you can. All right. So give it a minute or two more here. Erica was telling me that you guys you guys had jumped into element 3 last week, and it talked about some of the stuff that we kind of just read in 1.2 here, though I feel like Dr. A really escalates everything he teaches very quickly in the life book at a high level, and then he kind of slows it down for the Habits of Health book. And in last week, you guys talked about micro habits and the habit loop. Does anybody want to share real quick as we wait a couple more minutes for a couple more people to come in here? If anybody's identified a habit they wanted to create and the micro habits around that, does anybody want to share?
My stuff was about sleep, because Amelie started sleeping through the night, and it was the most epic fail of an attempt at all forms of anything this week. Part of it, like, that's looking at the reality of our situation and being smart about what we're trying to implement and when we're doing it. And I tried to implement sleep during a time change. Right? Thank you, Ashley. Like, there was no point and purpose to it. I started trying to do stuff for myself, and then I didn't start doing her stuff earlier in the week. And then it just like all epically imploded in a hot mess of like, congratulations to everybody that got an extra hour. Like, we got an extra hour of chaotic life. And it's still been like chaotic today. So we're re-establishing, turning the phones off, shifting notification timeframes so my phone doesn't make sounds. She does, though. Mm-hmm. That's life. But really trying to focus on the elements that I can control, and really looking at different ways that I haven't tried to utilize it, and not like Dr. A put an article out this week about how listening to certain types of music before bed isn't always a good thing, because even though it's relaxing, it can create earworms and it can actually disrupt your sleep habits. So shifting from, okay, we just have music, or picking different things to read because what I'm reading in is too engaging and I'm thinking about it after I'm trying to go to sleep. So this is my take 2 of the habits of sleep for this week going forward.
I'm sure you'll do great. Be intentional for sure about all the little micro habits that's going to help you. All right, guys, let's jump into chapter 1.2. And thank you for sharing memes on that. Super important. He kind of setting the path to what's about to come and what we're going to be learning. And I don't want to talk too much about it already. I want to hear what were some major takeaways that you guys had from this chapter.
I'll jump in, because why not? We'll just break the ice. So on page 60, the little sidebar, like the study that they were talking about, the 4 things that can reduce your risk of developing major chronic diseases. I just thought that was really, I don't know, it kind of gave me a light bulb moment, because I get talking to so many clients who, you know, whatever the world told them all this time, they don't want to get too transfixed on like a weight, like a specific weight goal. And that's fine to some degree, but like it goes back to like the healthy BMI is important though. And this just really kind of was that aha moment for me about that. And it was a good reminder of just like, we're not just talking about the weight for the weight and like vain purposes, right? Like we're talking about your healthy BMI being under 30 so that you are not at risk of chronic diseases. So let's like bring that to the light when we're talking about your healthy weight goals. Because it's about getting that BMI down. And then simultaneously, these other things too, getting that activity in, getting all these healthy food groups in, and not smoking. Like, let's address that. You know, do we talk about that with clients? I mean, these are all just like great things that I just, I liked revisiting that.
I'm going to partner off of you, Ashley, because on page 64, we see all 6 of the healthy habits, right? All 6 of them. It's not, I think Elise said it in our last, in our coach meeting here, that our health isn't just what's on the scale. It's not just our weight loss, right? Our health encompasses so many different things, and being healthy is all 6 of those things, you know? And when we don't pay attention to all 6 of the elements, guess what happens, folks? You know, we're right back to square one. And then we're having to revisit our whys again. We're having to revisit what health means to us again. So I really love that he's totally showing, yeah, okay, we're working on your healthy weight. Yep, we are. But there's so much more that we need to work on.
I wanted to add, for me on page 60, I work as a nurse for one of the largest healthcare organizations in the United States. And we still always push medication on people. So I have chronic headaches, and despite like really doing a lot of eliminating, I just still have them, and everybody wants to give me a pill. So that's just one little thing. And that part, his sentence about by concealing symptoms, you are ignoring physical and mental symptoms, signals that something is wrong, to me was just really eye-opening in the way that our society is now. So we just want to give everybody a pill to feel better. And I think a lot of the root of it is we don't have the time, or the physicians don't have the time to spend with you to figure it out.
I love that. One of the things that it kind of starts off with in this book is the first time I ever heard of it is Nonsick on page 59. We used to think if you're not sick, you must be healthy. And, you know, I think that was definitely true for myself, where, oh, everything's going okay. I also kept gaining weight, right, during the whole time. But as long as I don't have some major illness, I guess I'm okay, until it sneaks up on you. But no, that's a great takeaway, Kristen, about the being quick to go to the medication sometimes. I love that. Anybody else? Does some of this stuff speak to you?
I think the piece that speaks to me when you think about Nonsick, going back to that, is just that I hear so many people talk about, and I was the same way when I started a program of like, I'm eating fairly healthy. I'm not sick. This must just be what the mid-40s looks like, right? That this is what I should look like or feel like because of my age. And so this program has been so amazing at helping me realize that age is just a number, and that we can make an impact on what our health looks like just by making sure we're feeding it the right thing.
I love that. I actually felt the same way. I was like, hit 40, I'm like, gosh, napping all the time, having no energy. I guess that's 40, right? Until, a few months into the program, I'm like, whoa,
right? Isn't it funny? Like, you just fall into thinking this is the way it is. Like, I guess I'm over the hill now, you know. I'm like, oh, you know, I tell people now looking back, I'm like, I walked around for 30 years with what I didn't even realize was chronic headaches and stomach aches and all these things. I mean, I wouldn't even complain about them. I don't mean like I had some condition that plan cured. I didn't even think I was sick. Like, but I had acid reflux all the time, unexplained stomach aches all the time, random headaches all the time. And I mean, I can still have an issue once in a while, but it's like very, very rare. And the one thing I just wanted to, you know, that I took away from it, it's a short chapter, but I like the visuals of our health path. And I've heard somebody else talk about this. Like, when you first start changing a habit, it's like, it's not a big deal. It's like, okay, this guy's got some healthy habits and this guy doesn't. And they're still going along and there's barely any difference. But as you continue with being consistent, it grows and it grows and it grows. And now, I mean, you know, I've been, you know, maintaining in a healthy range for almost 3 years now. And it's like, oh my gosh, like I don't have a crystal ball to know where I would be without this change, but I know that I was nearly 300 pounds. I'm sure I'd be 300 plus by now. I mean, would I be having a heart attack? I don't know, but I certainly was heading down the path that was putting me at high risk for that. So it's just never underestimate your daily choices on what they mean to your long-term result, I guess is what I take away from this. Is like, it's very easy to be like, oh, well, one little choice, what's the big deal? But these things stack up and stack up over time. And that's really the difference.
So Eric's talking about like this compound effect, which is totally true. And Dr. A says it in there. He's talking about like, you know, one cheeseburger ain't going to kill you. Your body's designed to make up for some bad choices. But a bunch of cheeseburgers every day, you know, for a year will definitely catch up to you. And he's right. The picture really shows that. Did anybody see that in their own life? Where, I mean, obviously if you're on plan and you've been going 100%, you've probably seen the compound effect of it, right? You're more energy. Did you guys kind of see it happening for some of you? And I know for me it was, but when it was happening really slowly, the compound effect of bad choices. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Yes, I can speak for that because that has been my issue all month. Is it started with my birthday, the beginning of October, and I wanted cheeseburger and fries. No big deal, right? Well, that addictive personality came in and just took over. And then it was just this compound effect of, oh, well, I'm too busy tonight with school. I've got an essay. So babe, go grab something. And then I wasn't doing the little things of setting myself up for success. It like all went out the window super fast. And so now I actually am kind of restarting my journey a little bit. You know, I've gone up to from 169 to 175, and now I'm kind of like revamping myself. And that's where, you know, on page 64, it's just kind of perfect. It's just, you know, a smaller version of, you know, restarting again, and that compound effect of just how easy it was to just go right back to where I was. And it's like an addiction, you know, once you get started, it when you stop and then, you know, you start again, you're right where you left off before. So I definitely understand that compound effect, especially right now. But that's what's so great about this is it's so easy to just get back on. It's so easy to just start rereading my why. And now I'm back, energy focused, all of that. And now I like feel revamped again. So yeah.
I love that. It's fun when you're losing weight and you get to see the compound effect of that. I do, in my own experiences, like the unhealthiness definitely sneaks up on you and you don't realize it right away until it's already, you know, maybe you're 20 pounds in heavier. You're like, oh, okay, right now I'm going to stop and make better choices, but it doesn't always work out that way. So
there's a page or a thing in here on page 67 where he says, in a flood, every drop of water matters, but you probably didn't think that much of a single raindrop.
I highlighted it right here.
Yeah, I did too. So, you know, I mean, those, just like what Rebecca says, just like what we're myself and so many of us are seeing is like that one little change. We're not noticing the floodgates are opening.
Anybody else have some things that really spoke to them in this chapter? Even though, like Eric said, it is pretty short, and he kind of gets to the point in some of this stuff, kind of like where we're headed in this book and in our health journey. I'll jump in here again because it's a little quiet. This big page here, you guys take a look at my book here. Dr. A doesn't identify this, but these are like the 6 macro habits. He talks about this on page, I think, 93, where he identifies what these are. And he also talks about the jar. I don't know if he's talked about it already in this book, but he talks about the jar, and you fill it up with the 6 macro habits, the big rocks, right? You fill up the jar with the rocks. And then if you're doing Life Book Club, you probably know about the micro habits, and micro habits are the things that support the macro habits. So he's starting us off with the healthy weight management. And if you're just starting the program, that's where you are now, right? We're going to get our health under control. And then and then we're learning how to eat 6 times a day and get in the habit of drinking water. And then he's going to incorporate a little bit more for us, and a little bit more as we're reading along. Sometimes in this book where we don't get to 2/3 of the book and like, oh, now we're talking about sleep, but sleep's super important. We should have been talking about that all along, but this is kind of like setting the foundation. How does everybody feel about what's to come in these macro habits? Anybody have any thoughts about that? Are they waiting to jump ahead? Do they want to jump ahead and read some of these chapters on sleep or anything like that?
I kind of, well, I element wise, I went through each one in as close to an order as I could, but Anna would really speak into me, and I try to share with my clients too. If we have specific things that are popping up on phone calls or struggles that we're having with emotional eating or, other macro habits, taking a look at that element and going ahead and saying, okay, listen, like, let's go read element 23. Like, let's look at what mastering our emotions looks like if that's what we're struggling with right now. And we can also still be touching on where we're at on element 2. If, for me, there's other people in my house. So looking ahead at smarter ways to shift my surroundings and my pantry and my kitchen to serve my purpose for my goals and my needs was really helpful for my journey, because I wouldn't have made it far enough in if I didn't start shifting where stuff was on shelves to set myself up for success as well. So taking that peek and looking at the glossary and finding touch points that are necessary is, I think it's good, as long as we still, track through where we're at, because it all does lay a deeper foundation the farther we get. And some of it doesn't make as much sense, or we don't have that base to support it. But I've done a little flipping ahead when I was first starting.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Definitely. Even when I did book club a year ago, we were going through this. One of the things that, he talks about habits of healthy sleep. We talk about that a little bit further down the road in this book, where one of the first things he says, if your sleep's not in order, you're undermining everything else that we're doing. And I wish you would almost start with that, because if I knew that, then maybe that would have helped me along my journey as well. But yeah, if you guys ever are looking through this, you're kind of getting the idea of what's to come. If you want to dig more into a specific topic, definitely skip ahead and read that if you feel like it's going to be important to you. Like, Memes was talking about sleep right before we got on, started going here, or actually as we started going. But it's super important. Who else? Anybody else have something in here that you're kind of excited about? I mean, I know, because like I said, he's laying out the foundation about what's to come. Anything that spoke to you? No?
I think I'm going to speak again. Andrew, on page 68, and this is also a conversation that I had with your wife, was that weight loss, I've been thinking of it as a destination. Like, I'm going to get there and that's it. Well, that made me gain back 15 pounds, which I'm trying to lose. And so shifting that mentality is something that I really need to work on, and that I really was pointed out on this page. Is this not, you get there and then you're like, okay, see you later. I'm going back to my bad habits.
So what are some?
I was literally just thinking that. Sorry, because it's like how it says in here, like it's just a first step.
Yeah.
Right. So it goes back to like what Misty was saying earlier about all the other macro habits. Like there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
And we have this amazing guide. So I love that you're like chipping back at it, because it's like that diet culture. Like we're like destination, not a journey. Like that's not even in our wheelhouse. But I love that we have this tool, because it's about so much more. And I feel like when you really do start working in the life book and you're thinking about health in broader terms, then you get hungry to like get better with more of it, like now it's like, oh, well, let me examine this and my relationships and that. So that's just going to help you so much more.
Yeah. Thank you.
What are some of the active things that you're doing to help shift that for yourself?
Well, first of all, I got through graduate school. So honestly, I was in like survival mode last year. So my goal was just to lose weight. So I was, to be very honest with this group, because why not be honest with you? So my goal is to go through the elements and actually do all this work and not focus on the food. So the food hasn't seemed to be as big as an issue to me as the mental stuff. So that's what I'm working on, is going through this life book and being here and listening to you guys, being part of this group.
Sorry, I'm going to butt in really quick too, but it's funny because as you're talking, Kristen, I have my Zoom on gallery and I'm seeing everybody. There's so many heads that are going, yes, you're speaking to me now. We know that this is seriously more than just the food and the diet, and keeping that diet mentality is really what holds us back, I think, more than our evolution gets stalled because of that. And I love seeing so many faces on these Zooms and in book trainings now, because you guys are you're getting fed so much good right now that's going to help you not have that diet mentality anymore, or at least shorter lived, right? So that's all my little bit.
Thank you.
I think like what Misty said too, with the, we weren't worried about the drop of rain and it turned into a flood. If we flip it on the positive, like the one drop is our weight. And every other step and every other action and every other choice, and every time we shift a mindset and every time we go for the walk and we add to that, we're filling ourselves up with all of those healthy habits. And like, I think it can be a really positive thing at the same time, because if we don't stick to that one thing, like just flood yourself with it, like let all the rest of it in. But also that's just one little teeny piece. Like the rest of it is what is truly important and life-changing, because everything else that comes after it is what fills up the rest of it. I mean, we can be skinny all we want, but skinny isn't fulfilling. That's not what changes our life.
When I first started this program, Dr. A's book wasn't this elaborate. And I read through just a couple of the chapters and I learned about my why and all that kind of stuff. And I thought I was working on the brain stuff. I'm eating 6 times a day. But I really wasn't. And I was just focused on the food and just doing the mechanics. And I wasn't as self-aware as I thought I should have been. And then, reading through this book, I'm way more self-aware about food addiction that attacks me, lack of sleep, which leads to me looking in cupboards when I shouldn't be. All these little things that Dr. A will address in here, which is, it's like an extra, if you can see it coming, you're way more able to negotiate those situations, because you're like, oh man, what am I doing? Why am I off plan again? Or why am I repeating the cycle? What's going on? And luckily, you're in the book, and I love that you guys are in here, but you guys have the community. It's okay to share that in there. They're not always going to be wins, right? We're going to struggle from time to time, and it's okay to share that. And also sticking close to your coach and negotiating those things with them when you're going through it. Like, hey, I don't know what the heck's going on. I don't know why I keep repeating the cycle, or whatever the case is. And while coaches aren't psychologists, they are guides, right? And they can go, hey, you said you weren't sleeping. Why don't you go check that out in that sleep? Let's go read that sleep chapter or that element, or whatever the case is going to be. Definitely use your resources, because it makes a difference. So I know we only got a few more minutes left. Is there anything anybody wanted to add before we spin the wheel of joy? No? Erica? I hope she's still on here. Yeah, she's on here. Of course she is.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So nobody else before the wheel of joy gets spinned? No? I think that's what we're going to call it from now on. I'll let somebody know. That's what we're going to call it. All right, Erica, go ahead and take over.
Okay. All right, here we go. Can you guys see this? All right, perfect.
You should all say wheel. Fortune. No, nobody? All right. Okay, iPhone, you're going to have to let us know who you are.
Who's on the iPhone? Yay, iPhone!
No joy if there's no iPhone, if we don't know who you are. Everybody's be like, I'm iPhone.
I think it might be Stephanie.
Yeah, I think it's me because I didn't get a chance to put my name in it.
So Stephanie,
Yeah.
what's your name?
It's Hosterman, Hosterman.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Elaine, sweet. Congratulations. All right, you guys. I'm really proud of you for jumping in here and chipping away at this big old book. It's good. I'm telling you, as we trip away through this, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, the things I didn't know. So I'm glad you guys are jumping in, and we're all doing this together and sharing takeaways. If you haven't shared, next time, share what's speaking to you on here. There's never any pressure, but we'd love to hear from you too. Okay. Patty, Crystal, iPhone, talking to you guys. Okay. All right, you guys have a great night. We'll see you next week.